All right, so for this week, we're going to be returning to the wildly popular world of video for a project, having a look at this very old JVC VHS-C camcorder. This is model GR-M3U, and of course VHS-C would be JVC's answer to Sony's 8mm format using the smaller tape. In JVC's case, though, they made the tape to where it could actually be adapted into a full-size VHS tape adapter and played in a standard home VCR. And back in the day, when my shop was up and going, we did do JVC warranty work. And so I do remember these cameras. And if I recall, there were some common issues with them, maybe in the mechanism. I don't think anything really sticks out of my mind as far as the camera portion of it. But we'll find all of that out once we get it opened up. And I believe in my last video I said the Panasonic RA7500 I paid $23 for with the shipping, but it was actually this unit. This is the one that $23 with the shipping is what I paid, and the seller simply stated he has no idea. Couldn't tell you if it works, didn't get a charger, and didn't get a battery. But it looks to be in good shape other than the microphone. Of course, the foam windscreen has rotted off long ago. But we'll get some power to it and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. I'm definitely not going to spend an enormous amount of time changing 40 or 50 capacitors in this thing if the power supply and the video processing is all corroded with capacitor cancer, but we'll see what we can do with it. If it turns out that's the case, we'll just use it for a little exploratory surgery. As for our intro music, we're going back to 1991. This camcorder was made in '92, so it got me thinking about this Fates Warning album, Parallels, and how unfortunate it was that this album wasn't made a few years before 1991. It would have been much more popular, I believe. And even though this is not my favorite song, we're going to listen to a little bit of Eye to Eye from the Parallels album. All right, coming back in, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the camera. But before we do that, let's take a look at what kind of packaging and shipping materials you'll get for a unit that costs $23, including shipping. The camera was in this Walmart bag, which was placed in this priority mailbox, and that is all of the packing material you're going to get. So, of course, this camera would rattle around in this box. Surprisingly enough, it is not damaged. The only thing wrong with it is what was wrong with it in the picture on eBay is the microphone, and the only thing going on there is the screen part is broken off from the mounting, but the electrical connection is still good. It's actually in pretty good shape. It's clean, it's not dirty. There's all of our information. Model number, serial, and July of '92, manufacturer's date, made in Japan, of course. And some initials here, CRK, Rose. Rose, if you see the video and you want your camcorder back, I'll be happy to sell it back to you for just a little more than the $23 I paid for it after I'm done working on it. And then we have our tape controls across the top. Pause, play, stop, rewind, fast forward. And then we got counter reset, counter memory, edit. Not sure what functions are involved there. A display, and then a momentary power switch. Switch it between playback and camera. And then you got a few other things here as far as the speed, a tape, tracking, mode, and select. Of course, black and white EVF. And you got your red record button here. And then an AV out and a remote. So, I don't know. Can't really tell much until we get some power hooked up to it. But everything seems to be in line here. This right here, you move this away. If I remember right, slides back. And there's two connections there for video light, powered video light. So yeah, it all looks okay. I think the first thing we'll do, we'll be trying out this 10 mAh power supply, and we'll shoot 6 volts into this thing and see what it'll do. So give me a second, I'll set you up in the tripod and we'll have a look. All right, so I bring you back in here. I went ahead and mounted you overhead on the magnifier. I think that's going to be the best way to do this versus trying to do it with the tripod. And went ahead and got 6 volts coming out of our power supply, and I'll show you what I have discovered about this. Positive on the left, negative on the right. And when we turn this unit on, we get a red light, and we do got power, and it will eject. So that's kind of letting me know that the mechanism is working. And in the EVF, we do have a raster there. It shows it blanking, but that's just the camera doing that. It really does have just a steady, empty raster. Now, when I switch it to the camera mode, it gets a little bit brighter, which cancels out the blanking, but we still don't have any camera video. I don't see the camera video picture in the EVF. And I did shine a flashlight down through the lens. The iris is open, but yet no video. So I would probably conclude that we have bad capacitors either in the power supply or in the video processing of the camera. Most likely both, but the mechanism is doing its thing. So what we're going to do here is I only have 2 VHS-C tapes, and I'll show you those. One was a monoscope tape that I bought because we needed it for alignment. And the other one was just my playback tape. I don't seem to have a record tape anymore, but this was a tape from JVC that was something that would be sent to the customer. It says how to make a video letter. And so this was always just a standard playback tape for me. So let's go ahead and load this up. And it's in the playback mode. You can hear that precision Japanese mechanism loading the tape up. Let's hit play. And when we go into play, of course you can't see it here, but we do got a picture. Or at least I don't think you can see it. Maybe let's take off this. Maybe this will help. Maybe turn the light off. Yeah, it might be just a little too bright, but we do got a picture there. It's showing something. Of course, there's no built-in speaker on these, so you can't hear the sound. Let's see. Yeah, actually it looks like a little bit of distortion right there. It looks like there's something dirty. I'm hitting it in the rewind mode now to see what will happen. But yeah, there's something going on there. I'm not sure. No, there it goes. So it looks like we got a stable picture now. So probably just a little bit of dirt caught in the head. So it does produce a picture, and the mechanism is working, just no camera video. So, and of course you're not going to be able to see it through that, but picture looks okay. So I think what we need to do, let's go ahead and stop it. We'll turn it off here. And I think what we want to do is let's get ready to scope out these pins and find the video out and the audio out. And that way we can hook it up to the monitor. So give me a second for that and we'll pick back up. All right, so I'm picking back up with you, and the first thing that we're going to try to do here is we're going to ring out some continuity to this metal piece right here on the remote jack, because we know that that's probably ground. And if we were doubting that it's ground, we'll use the ground connection on the back of the battery connection, and we can ring it out. And we can hear the tone, and we know that that is ground. So we want to find ground over here, and that way we're not kind of, going blind on what ground is. So we'll just kind of drape this connection, this probe. See if we can get this up here. We'll just kind of drape it in this hole right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this little quarter. You can use any value. The value is absolutely not important. This is just a quarter watt resistor, because the pins are thin enough to fit into the holes. Well, I'll say that they're thin enough. Let's see. There we go. And then we don't hear a beep. We move on to the next one. Nothing. Move on to the next one. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing there. And then there it is, perfect 0 on the continuity. And that's that. And a second ground. There's 2 ground connections here. So let's make sure that I know which one's which. From this point right here, I think it's the second one, right? Okay, so we'll just kind of use this as a reference for ground. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all set back up again, and we're going to use the scope, and we're going to probe around the rest of them while a tape is playing in it to see if we can find audio and video. So give me a second for that, and we'll come back. All right, as we pick back up, basically what I've got going on is I've got the scope grounded to the negative side of the battery, and I found video, or what appears to be video anyway. And what I decided to do with the audio is we would try out our trusty little signal tracer here, and we did find that as well.
To show expression vividly, try a close-up of one of the main characters. Change the image size from time to time and continue shooting at a good, lively tempo.
So we did it. We got both audio and video pinned out so we know what's what. So I went ahead and found this old cable. This is the one that I used back in the day when I was messing with that Hitachi camcorder. So we're going to solder some of those resistor leads onto this, and then we can get it fired up here at the monitor and get a good look. I can tell by the video on the scope that it is definitely not clean. It's got some what looks to me like filter weave in it. So we'll look at it up here and see what it looks like. But let me go ahead and get a cable made up, and then we'll pick back up. All right, we'll pick back up, and basically what we got going on is we made our custom little cable here using the leads of the resistor and soldered it to the wires for the old RCA cable, heat shrunk those so they wouldn't be touching each other, and got that basically coupled into the AV connection going up to the Sony monitor here. So let's get you set up. I rewound the tape, so let's get you set up in the tripod here. See if I can do this without dropping the camera. And then what we'll do is we'll play it back and see what that video looks like, but it doesn't look to me like it's going to look very good. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's bring that down. Let's turn the camera back on. Let's hit play. Let's see what this is all about. Well, so far we got, oh, here we go. We got something coming. Yeah, straighten it up a little bit, I guess. And see, I'm not sure if the problem here is that
How to make a video letter from basic camera work to actual shooting.
I'm not sure if this is a issue with the servo section of the unit, bad caps, or there's something wrong with the tape path. And here, let's take a look at this.
Operating the JVC compact video movie is simplicity itself. Anyone can use it to shoot really impressive pictures. Everyone likes to have vivid visual memories of their family and to keep them for as long as possible. Of course, it's a pleasure to shoot interesting subjects and scenes, but it's even better to be able to play back one's own movies in the way only video makes possible.
I'm getting this.
We'll pause it right here. Basically, the way that picture turned out, it straightened itself back out. That kind of, you know, either something going on in the video section, or excuse me, in the servo section, or there is something wrong with the tape path. Once we get it opened up, we'll be able to see the tape moving through the tape path and get a better idea about that. But it's probably the caps. This picture doesn't look the best in the world anyway. Let's watch a little more of this.
To your grandmother. This is the one we took last week when we were camping at the river. I think she's really going to enjoy this. It was a lot of fun.
A video movie also makes a wonderful gift for friends and relations. If you send a tape to your grandmother far away, for instance, you can give her all sorts of detailed visual information that can't easily be conveyed in a letter. And any grandmother would be delighted to receive such a tape, wouldn't she? And of course, you'd want to make your video as fun to look at as possible, so she'd know how you really feel about her. Actually, making a video letter is very simple. All you have to do is master a few of the basics of shooting. The basic techniques will make your video letter much more interesting to look at. Let's take a look at some of them. Basic camera work. Let's start with how the camera should be held. Relax your shoulders and make yourself comfortable. Place your eye right up in.
I noticed that the camcorder in this video is way older than the one that we're actually working on. This is probably 2 or 3 models before this one, because it has that boxy look to it. By the time they got to this one, they kind of smoothed out the lines a little bit, where it's a little bit cooler looking, a little softer looking. That one's real boxy. Let's watch a little more of this.
And hold the camera steady. With your left hand, support the camera so that it doesn't move while you're operating it with your right hand. That's it. Now you're holding the camera steady. When you need to move while holding the camera or shoot a subject which moves unpredictably, keep both your eyes wide open. Stable picture. This way of holding the camera is wrong and will cause the picture to tilt. A tilted picture is unstable and always looks wrong. A useful tip for keeping the camera level is to find vertical and horizontal lines in the shooting field and just follow them. To keep the camera stable, hold it firmly without moving your body, or else try to place it on a level surface. size. Another important factor is the size of your images. If part of the face or body is left outside the frame, the result is an unattractive picture.
All right, well, I think the next thing I want to do, let's go ahead and get this thing apart. Well, the first thing we'll do, let's back this up some. The first thing we're probably going to do is remove this side of the body, and we'll take off the cassette door and try to get this side of the body off. I want to see that tape moving and see if there's something happening. Maybe the pressure roller's bent, maybe the pressure roller's bad, because it seems like every so often that it's the picture's kind of oscillating from good to bad. But because of the amount of time between it being good and bad, doesn't really make me think that there's anything wrong with the tape path, because it'd be more, you know, a quicker succession of from good to bad if there was something in the tape path wrong. So I don't know. We'll have to get it opened up. So let me see if I can get this thing apart, and we'll have a look at it as the tape's moving through it. All right, we're picking back up, and this is going to be day 2. Last night I was able to go ahead and get the right and left side of the body off, and went ahead and got the camera section disconnected from the mechanism portion. We don't really need the camera in order to operate it strictly as a VCR, but we do got some sketchiness happening because I had to still keep the control panel wired in so we'd have a way to operate the mechanism. But I've been through this, and there is absolutely nothing more perfect, more pristine than the mechanism in this unit. For 30 years old, it's absolutely perfect. Not a speck of dirt on anything, and both tape guides, entry and exit, perfectly tight. All the secondary guides, pressure roller, perfect. Pressure roller looks like it's brand new. There's not even a speck of residue on it that I can really tell. So we know we ain't got any issues in the mechanism, which I kind of knew that all along, but you always kind of secretly hope you'll get lucky, and it might not be. Dozens of capacitors that are bad. Let's go ahead, we'll load the tape back up one last time so we can see it moving through the tape path, or as good as we can see it moving through the tape path. Our flip door kind of conceals quite a bit of it, but I've already peeked down in there. Still got our picture. It's crappy, but we still got it. Maybe even a little crappier now that we're missing some of the shielding and some of the ground path. But that's about as perfect as it gets. So let's go ahead, let's get the tape out. And I'll kind of show you what I've discovered here. Basically what's going on. And this time we kind of worked it in reverse. I put a red mark on the very few capacitors that still had some life left in them, enough to even move the ESR meter. Everything else completely and totally bad. They all have to be changed, every single one of them. And I believe I counted about 61 or 62 on this board. And there's also some in the head amp. Every one in the head amp is bad. And so they would all have to be changed. And then of course the camera, same deal. There isn't any on the camera board that's any good. That red mark there is from the factory. I didn't put that there. But every one of these are bad. And I love how they did the CCD. It's got a removable pins, pin and socket set, so you don't have to actually remove it and unseal it from the lens. It's always a bitch to try to get dust or anything that may have collected while you had it out from the lens before you put it all back together. But I think kind of what I've decided I want to do to this is, I said I wasn't going to change dozens of capacitors in this, but I think what I'm going to do is I am going to order up maybe one of those combination kits from eBay that has multiple values of caps, maybe 15, 20 bucks. And I think I am gonna fix this. I'm not gonna do any videos on it other than just follow-up videos, real quick ones, because changing all these would take a lot of time. And right now I do have the time to devote to getting this up and going. I think it would be a good one to hang on to, just nothing more than just the nostalgia of it. And it is in really good shape. So I think that's kind of the plan I got going right now. But I want to thank you guys very much. I appreciate your patience for dealing with another video project. I know these aren't as popular as the audio things, but I do enjoy these from time to time. Thank you very much for all the new viewers on the channel. Appreciate it. And hopefully you find something you like here. And we'll pick back up next week with another audio thing. I had somebody bring a CD player in. Not anything super awesome, but definitely it's audio. It's not video. So we'll be taking a look at that and see if we can get that up and going. But otherwise, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you checking out the videos. And we'll catch you next week on the next one. And I will give updates from time to time as I make progress on this, but it's going to take a lot of time because there's a lot of caps and they're all bad. So, all right, again, thank you very much, and catch you on the next one. All right, we're going to pick back up one last time here. Got ready to put the unit back together. I put the camera back together and got to this point, and I really just wanted to get this to the point to where I could see a tape play in it that was somewhat doable, you know. And so what I decided I would do is I went ahead and changed out all of the high value caps in this unit. In the head amp, there's 3 main filters, 247 mic, 133 mic. I changed those 3, leaving the 8 that are totally bad. I think there's 10 mic at 4 volt, 8 of those. I just left those alone. And then on the main board, I did the same thing. Basically, I found all my 47 mic and all my 33 mic caps, and changed all those out. And by changing, basically all I did was take out the old ones, clean the pads up, and tagged in some used 47 mic at 50 volt caps. And we do got a doable picture. Stable, no servo issues. This is not a perfect picture by no means, but 100% better than what we had. And of course the servo issue that it had is taken care of also. It's doing fine. Staying stable. So yeah, I thought I needed to do just a little bit more, at least get it to the point to where it would play a tape somewhat, you know, stable. So it's doing its thing. It's going to be a big project though. Took about 45 minutes to change all those caps out and get all the pads cleaned up, because every time you take a cap off, there's been some leakage. Luckily, there's no board damage. I did damage one trace though, right here on the very end of the board. I had to wring out continuity between the top and the bottom trace. And so that's what you want to try to avoid, is having to do that. But I only had to do it on one. So, but there's still 40 plus caps on this board that has to be changed, because every single one of them is bad. And so I'm going to get a kit that has multiple values and change them out little at a time. But yeah, you know, felt a little unsatisfied. I couldn't at least get a good enough watchable picture on this thing. So that was kind of what started the whole cap changing thing. But it's doable. It's, you know, it's still got a lot of distortion in it, but this is way better than it was. So definitely, if that few that I changed will get us to this point, changing them all will restore this picture to 100%. So anyway, I won't torture anyone with this any further. I'll give updates at the end of other regular videos after I've done a little more work to this, but it's doing its thing.